Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bobby. Guys, I know I'm a bit too late to the party, but I was traveling through Europe. Now I am back and therefore we are reacting to Piers Morgan, the so-called Piers Morgan Uncensored show, which is everything but uncensored ultimately. And in this episode he attempted to interview Kanye West and Sneako. It has been a very long time since I saw Piers' fake outrage face and his major virtue signaling, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But guys, before we do so, check out my new ebook that I wrote in my absence from YouTube. It is called The Return, and it is a quick dynamic read about my revert story, about myself coming from Orthodox Christianity, reverting to Islam. However, that is only the last chapter. Most people got to know me as the Christian reacting to Islamic content. Therefore, they thought, well, this guy has been Orthodox Christian all his life. And yes, that is technically true. I was born into an Orthodox Christian family. However, I became a practicing Christian way later in life. And therefore, this book describes everything that happened before that. Be it simple things like bodybuilding, extreme dieting, be it shamanism, traveling the world, be it mega doses of mushrooms, be it Buddhist temples, Hinduism, Jainism, and all the philosophies that I explored before finally, alhamdulillah, coming to Islam. So if you haven't gotten a copy yet, check it out. The links are in the description box below. Thank you very much for that, guys. And now, with no further ado, let's have a look.
Obviously, I have no idea what's going on in this guy's head, and he's unquestionably a genius artist with a global fan base and massive talent. He's lived most of his life under the microscope of intense fame, and that pressure alone can make people behave very oddly. Back then, I was trying to understand if Ye had any regret or remorse for what could have been a relatively isolated incident or some kind of episode. I wanted to know if he understood there are consequences for his words and whether he was genuinely a racist. What we now know is just the tip of the iceberg. As far as the watching public is concerned, Ye has spiraled in both his personal life and his business life. Most recently, he's taken to posting endless, outrageous anti-Semitic slurs on X. He frequently professes his great love for Adolf Hitler. He poses in swastikas and KKK costumes. He says things like Jews were better as slaves and they should be whipped. We all know this because X has allowed him to carry on doing it to his 33 million followers. I've argued for a long time his account should be shut down. It should be stopped. That's my opinion. I believe passionately in free speech and I detest censorship because I believe in the importance of sharing honestly held opinions in a democracy. But posting endless, vile, anti-Semitic insults, encouraging violence against Jewish people in these unhinged tirades on a privately owned platform has got nothing to do with free speech.
Actually, it does. Yeah, that is the hypocrisy of the West. It is absolutely amazing to see this. Before I address this, I personally am not a free speech absolutist. I am not, most definitely not. So when it comes down to certain religious topics, for example, I believe that religion should be discussed respectfully. So therefore, no, I'm not a free speech absolutist. Yet again, when it comes down to South Park, for example, making fun of Jesus Christ, I don't want to see this, and I don't believe that this should fall under something acceptable within society labeled as free speech. I don't agree with this free speech concept. However, if you agree with democracy, with free speech, as Piers Morgan says here, then you will have to accept everything. This is what free speech is. It is within the description of the word. If you look into the definition of freedom of speech, for example, you will find the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. But obviously we don't expect anything less from Piers Morgan. That is the biggest hypocrite there is ultimately, calling his show uncensored, but then calling for the censorship of Ye on X because he doesn't agree with his opinions. This is not how free speech works. If you subscribe to free speech and democracy, then you will have to accept everything. It is the same hypocrisy of the West when they claim, we have religious freedom here in the West, but then they're slandering Islam in the media over and over again, and then they're labeling it as radical Islam and whatnot, right? If you have freedom of religion within your countries, then you will have to accept Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, everything. You cannot pick and choose. But this is what the true liberals in the West, of course, do. They're pretending to have freedom of speech. They're pretending to have freedom of religion. They're pretending to have freedom of choice and whatnot. But ultimately, all of those things are dictated, limited, and censored.
Back onto Uncensored, because at least on my show, I can call him out for what he's been doing and put myself in between the 32, 33 million followers who see his posts without any challenge whatsoever. Our producer spotted that he was in Spain with his friend Sneako, and we invited both of them on for an interview. They very quickly agreed, and Sneako spent several days talking about it, but they mucked us around, a significant expense, both in time and money, to me, my crew in Spain, and my team here in London. More importantly,
no. You lost money.
He didn't turn up yesterday.
Oh no.
And said wanted to do it today. So it seemed to me then it might all just be a stunt. But I went ahead and said, okay, we'll have another go today. Ye told Sneako not to be offended if he stormed off very shortly before today's interview started. You can judge for yourself how it went and whether Ye has any respect or, frankly, any marbles. I'm not a shrink. But if you're so delusional or fragile you don't expect a journalist to ask you questions about your publicly stated love of Hitler, you should probably talk to somebody other than me. What followed, frankly, was a farce.
I'm getting you multi-tracks right now. I'm about to step in this interview, but I can hop back on in about whenever it's done. That nuance right there, it's idiotic. It just shows the hate that you put out for people that put love. There's so much love in the art that I put out.
What are you talking about?
We have to admit this is somewhat entertaining. You know, this is going to be laughed at by many people.
What's entertaining?
That was funny.
The fake outrage of
Ye
Piers.
West is rarely out of
What's
the headlines
entertaining?
at the moment.
What's entertaining? It is not entertaining.
Positive. The rapper, producer, and fashion designer is currently working on a new album. Several new tracks were previewed on a recent live stream with his friend Sneako. And both Sneako and Ye join me now. Well, welcome to Uncensored. Ye, we haven't spoken for a while. How are you?
I'm doing good. I don't use the term West, you know, the whole drop the slave name idea.
Okay, so we just call you Ye, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, look, when I last interviewed, we had a long conversation. And since then, a lot has happened in your life. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to try and talk to you about some of this. How would you say your life is at the moment?
I mean, you see that view?
Yeah. Your life is good?
Well, judge it on the view as the answer to how my life is. Judge me by the view.
Well, the view is Mallorca. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. And for all intents and purposes, you seem very relaxed and happy. That is in direct contrast to your public image at the moment over the last couple of years, led by your ferocious... Well, hang on, let me finish the question. Led by your ferocious use of...
No, but I already disagree. It's not in contrast. There's so many people and artists that are championing the idea of someone being able to just express who they really are and have been able to go through the war of being attacked by the banks, being attacked, you know, by the banks. That's the best way to put it, being attacked by the banks and to still be here with this view is, you know, that's the win. So I think I'm in contrast to your contrast.
Okay, but the point I was going to make is that I watch what you put out on X. You've got 32 million followers, so you're one of the most followed people.
See, wait. Now look right now. You're not gonna take inches off my dick, bro. Like, how many followers do I have?
Well, how many is it?
I think you could do the study. You got a whole staff over there.
I thought it was 32 million. How many is it? You obviously know.
I mean, no. I mean, don't help them out. You know they.
I'm told it's 33 million now. So congratulations. You're slightly bigger following than I thought.
No, congratulations. Your information is correct. You're not just some, you know, dude trying to sub. You know, I'm a gift, bro. You know what I mean? Why do all you people in media act like you haven't played my songs at your weddings or graduations or at funerals or when your child was born? You know, you take somebody that's living like a Lennon a Michael Jackson, and you just take all this time to just, like, that nuance right there, it's idiotic. It just shows the hate that you put out for people that put love. There's so much love in the art that I put out.
Respect,
so many,
what are you talking about? I haven't said anything.
What are you talking about? It's 30. Okay, now you're not taking accountability or responsibility.
Literally, you said it. You implied I haven't played your music. Of course I played your music.
No, sir. This is what you get for now. We can circle back.
Okay, let me interrupt it real quick. It is quite obvious that Piers Morgan dropped the number on purpose because in his intro he spoke about 33, then 32. He was playing around with that number on purpose in his intro to make it seem as if it was just something that organically happened. But here he drops the 31 because he knows it will trigger Ye 100%. However, looking at Ye, how he describes himself as a gift to the world, this is extremely cringy to me personally. I cannot stand inflated egos. I believe in self-confidence. As a man, you should most definitely believe that you are the man. However, thinking of yourself as a gift to the world and everybody played your songs at their weddings and whatnot, yeah, that is most definitely a delusion of grandeur.
You can count.
Okay. Where's he gone, Sneako?
That's it for Ye. But it's nice to meet you, Piers.
Where's he gone?
I think he's just going back to work. There's several things he's working on. I was not aware he was going to leave like this, but it seems like he got upset about the...
So it's all just a game, is it? Is that the idea?
Followers. I mean, life is a video game, isn't it?
It's quite amazing. I believe that Piers Morgan would have been a great teacher because his face most definitely would work on children, maybe from the age of 6 to 8 or something on those lines. He really loves to put on this fake outrage face, as I said, and then hold you accountable. This is the position that he's always playing. So it's all a game to you. Yeah, it's all a game. Yeah, of course, it's just a game, dude. It's just an interview. You're a man, a human being that put on a suit and now you're acting all serious and you're simply asking questions. That's your job. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing world moving here. You're just a guy in the UK asking questions. That's it, right? So therefore, no, it's not really serious. If the man doesn't want to answer your questions, guess what? That's his freedom of speech as well. Then he can refrain himself from it and walk away. Hilarious.
I just wonder what the point of this exercise was. Was he supposed to do an interview or not?
He's not supposed
to do an
anything.
interview, but I mean, the amount of Twitter followers, something like that, it's patronizing for no reason. You said his name incorrectly. You know his name is Ye. This is very public about that. Hopefully we could do it. I think this was good. We were prepared for a good interview. But come on, you know what you were doing.
What do you think I'm doing?
I think you were trying to patronize very intentionally by getting those two things, under his skin. Maybe it could have been about past interviews or because of what happened yesterday. But I mean, this information is not that difficult to get right.
Yep, he did it on purpose for sure.
Yeah, we called him Ye and we got his Twitter following count wrong by 1 million. From 32 to 33 million. Also, for the record, you guys dicked us around yesterday, and you seem to find that very entertaining and amusing in your live stream, which I'm sure you will now. You kept all my crew in Spain and here waiting, and then wasted their time. And then you got us all back now, and you've wasted our time again. And you again may find that funny and entertaining. And that's
time
fine.
is not wasted. Yeah, again, he's acting as if this is all so preposterous and unbelievable. Man, you're interviewing a rapper that is famous for his controversies, and his last track is called Heil Hitler. Now the guy walked off the set. And of course, that deeply hurts Piers Morgan. He cannot believe what happened. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. In reality, this video created over 1.2 million clicks. And therefore, you got what you wanted, right? But he has to play a role. That's all this is about.
That's fine. I don't. I think it's a total waste of everyone's time and effort and money.
Well, I mean, it is. I was ready for the interview yesterday, too. My time is important as well. Regardless if it was wasted. We have to admit this is somewhat entertaining. This is going to be laughed at by many people.
What's entertaining?
The unexpectedness.
That was funny. That's undeniably walking off right into the beginning of an interview is funny.
Yeah?
Yeah, again. This teacher face is amazing.
Objective.
Out of interest, what do you do with him?
Hold
I'm
hands.
working on several films right now. I am streaming out here. I'm editing, and I work on things behind the scenes, some inspiration for art. I'm just there to try to help fulfill his vision.
Well, let me
and
ask,
also
let
work
me
on my
ask
own
you the
too,
questions I would have asked him. So, I mean, out of interest, what is with his obsession with Hitler? Why is he so rampantly anti-Semitic?
I'm not going to answer questions on his behalf.
Well, you're going to have to
I
because
can't
he's
answer
not
questions
there.
on his behalf.
He's not there.
What's that? What's that?
He's not there. Literally, he's dropping it.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It doesn't work on Sneako, but probably works on other people. It's this fake holding you to account, right? Now you have to be accountable. Guess what, Sneako? He walked off. Now you will have to answer those questions as if he was some sort of cop. No, he doesn't, right? Why would he now, Sneako, answer on his behalf? He doesn't have to do that at all. He can walk off as well. He can sit there, start singing if he wanted to. You want to dictate the frame, of course. It is your show, therefore you feel entitled. But ultimately, he doesn't owe you anything.
Track today called Heil Hitler. Why are you happy to be associated with somebody like that out of interest?
I'm not going to speak on his art and his vision while
I'm
he's not
asking
here.
you.
I find
I'm
it
asking you
inappropriate.
why you're happy to be associated with somebody who most of the world believes is now a rampant anti-Semite.
Well, you're associated as well. Your show's called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yeah.
You tried to get him censored on X.
Good point.
And here you are on the days we're going to release this song doing an interview with him. So we're all involved here. It's not like I'm the only one complicit.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to get him on was because I don't think anyone holds him to account for anything he does on X. And in fact, he deliberately breaches all of X's rules.
Yes, I don't know the motivations behind Sneako's association with Ye, but ultimately, Piers Morgan here, if you truly believe that Piers Morgan came here as this white knight and he's gonna save the day by holding Ye accountable, no. Ultimately, as a journalist, as a reporter, interviewer, call him what you will, he's interested in views, obviously, right? And this generated views. He's just playing a role. He doesn't care for it deeply. He's simply playing Team Israel, as he always does, at least publicly. And therefore, this makes a good hit piece. This is what the media does over and over again. And therefore, oh my gosh, man, who truly believes there's a moral superiority here? And oh, now I'm going to hold him accountable. You want a piece of Ye like anybody else. This is why you're producing content. Listen, I'm going to point the finger at myself here as well. I find this mildly entertaining. I find it quite amusing to watch here. I like doing my job. But that being said, obviously I'm choosing the topic Ye because it generates clicks. Otherwise, I would be talking about my neighbor, maybe. He's a very interesting guy. You don't know him, and therefore he wouldn't generate clicks, right? This is what media, social media is about. Let's not lie about it, man.
And yet he does it with impunity and is allowed to do it, whereas millions of other accounts get suspended for far less offences. So I was going to ask him directly, which is why I
don't think that's
mentioned
true,
his
honestly.
X following. I was
Anybody
going to
can
ask
say
him
anything
about
on
what
X.
he puts on X and why he does this, why he continually attacks Jewish people, why he continually celebrates Adolf Hitler. And then I'm curious about, given he's not there, can't answer these questions, what your association is with this guy and whether you're comfortable to be associated with somebody who most people consider to be an anti-Semite.
I think I just answered this question. And these are good questions. I think I just answered half
We
of
haven't
that
answered
one.
the question, though, have you?
But I mean, if I did, you said, what are you doing out here? And I said, I'm doing films and I'm recording behind the scenes and I'm streaming and I'm editing and helping fulfill his
Have
vision.
you been helping him with the track Heil Hitler?
No, I don't. I'm not a music guy. And if you wanted to get questions about his Twitter or X correct, then you should have got the number of followers correct. That was something intentional that you knew what you were doing.
So I got
if you
the
know
size of his
everything
dick
about what
wrong.
he's
Is
tweeting,
that what you say?
well, if you know everything else that he's tweeting, you should have got that right as well.
Oh, don't be so pathetic, Sneako. Honestly, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get good content
He's
which
deflecting.
will promote you, Sneako. And I'm just curious how you, Sneako,
Okay, you're doing exactly the same thing. So Sneako, again, I don't know his motivations behind this. It doesn't really matter. But he's talking about him trying to get good content. Well, that's literally what you're doing as well. You're producing content. You're not the arbiter of objective moral truths, Piers. You're simply a guy with a show, a guy with a suit. That's who you are, and you're trying to find good content. Wow.
Deal with the fact that you are so openly associating yourself
You asked that question
with
a few
somebody
times,
who
and I
seems
mean, I
to
can ask you the
worship
same thing.
Adolf Hitler and is pro the Nazis. Do you feel comfortable about that?
No, we worship God.
No, he worships Adolf
that
Hitler.
I'm here promoting this. We could talk about how
He
pathetic it
worships
is
Adolf Hitler.
that you were essentially working for Israel up until a couple months ago and
Really?
promoting
When was I
things
working for Israel?
like genocide and not pushing back.
When was I working for Israel?
If it's pathetic to make films behind the scenes of one of the greatest living artists, probably the greatest living artist,
Well, he certainly was.
You point the finger
He
at you and
certainly
say
was
it's pathetic as well.
He was a great artist. Unfortunately, he's
I don't
become
really
a
understand
rampant
why he's the greatest
anti-Semite
artist,
who
but it's
adores Adolf
not just me.
Hitler, embraces Nazism, uses swastikas,
I'm pretty sure he
slogans
says he loves
to
everyone.
sell his
I'm not
merchandise,
gonna speak
and
for
has a
him,
new
but-
record out called Heil Hitler. So forgive me if I don't currently
The
see
song is
him
not. I mean,
as one of the
everything you're
world's
saying
great
in this question
artists.
is incorrect.
Yeah, but I don't see
Everything
him.
you're saying in this question is incorrect.
Sorry?
The song isn't out. The song isn't out for one. And two, he says he loves everyone. He says he loves Jews. He says he loves Hitler. He says he loves everybody. But
Really?
this could be,
So when he says,
just-
let me ask you, given you're the one sitting there, he said Jews were better as slaves. You have to put your Jews in their place and make them into your slaves. You then said make your Jews work for you, but watch them as close as you can, whip the Jews. You comfortable with that, Sneako?
I think I find it funny. That's not something that I would do personally. I don't whip
You think it's
anybody.
funny, do you? Whipping
condone
Jews?
slavery.
Using Jews as slaves? You think that's
I think
funny?
the context of that is funny, yeah.
What's
and
the
also
humour?
to remove any sense of humor
I'm missing
from
the
that is
humour. What's the
ridiculous.
humour?
I mean, do you want me to break down a joke for you?
You think
I mean,
it's a joke
I could try to
about whipping
attempt it.
Jews?
So again, I haven't been following Ye. I didn't even know that he ever said that, and I don't know about the context. However, I have to assume here the context could be, of course, the Talmud, right? So if you look into the Talmud, you will find stories about the future of the Jews, and in that supposed future of the Jews, they will own slaves. And those slaves will be the Goyim, right? The Goyim are the Gentiles, the non-Jews. So me, you, Piers, Sneako, pretty much most of the population, right? Almost 99% of the population will then be enslaved by the Jews in the end times. And I believe that every single Jew, according to the Talmud, will own roughly 1,400 slaves or something on those lines. So if this is the context and then Ye is reversing it, then I do understand why this would be seen as a cheeky remark, as a joke.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a joke because I've been here for a couple weeks and he hasn't whipped any Jews.
Really? So because he hasn't actually whipped any yet,
Yeah,
that's a joke.
He really has.
Yeah.
Really has. But Piers, before I leave, I don't want to speak on his behalf. If you're agreeing
But what
that
choice
he's
do
the
we have? You
greatest
set
living
this
artist
thing.
right now,
You set this farce up. He's dicked us around. You're the one left, so you're going to have to be accountable for him. Unless you want to walk away too.
accountable.
doesn't have
What
to
do you
be.
want to
Why?
hold me accountable?
If you don't want to answer questions either, you are free to stand up and walk away like a little sniveling
Well, you can ask
coward
questions.
too.
If you have questions for me, then I'll feel free
know
to
what?
answer
Here's my
those.
question
but
for
just
you.
as a
Why is
question-
your
Hilarious. It's really funny to see how he's reasserting his frame, so ultimately giving you two choices, right? Which are basically not choices at all. He's telling you either stay there and you have to be accountable now, you have to answer on his behalf, which you don't, of course, or you walk away. But if you walk away, then you are a coward, right? So he gives you two lose-lose options ultimately. Whichever one you choose, he wins.
Yay.
Why is your mate Ye?
Is this whole thing going to be interrupting, or
Why is your mate
this whole
Ye?
thing just going to be interrupting? Or do you want me to speak
look,
at all?
You're sounding like Andrew Tate Light, like his annoying little younger brother we never knew about. Okay? Doesn't work with me. Okay?
Yeah, it's really funny to see. Piers has been doing this for quite a long time. As I said, he's reframing everything, and now he's trying to frame Sneako as an Andrew Tate Light. This is an ad hominem attack, of course. He tries to belittle him, even though all that Sneako said there was, hey, listen, will this be all about interrupting now? Nothing that Sneako said here was reminiscent of an Andrew Tate at all. Zero. But we do know, of course, that Sneako has been framed in social media as Andrew Tate's little brother, as a copycat and whatnot. And therefore, Piers Morgan knows that those statements are inflammatory. This is why he uses them, just the same way that he used the Twitter followers to provoke a reaction.
You set this thing up. It's obviously some kind of elaborate prank.
Okay,
that you're
your team asked
with
me to
your
do
mate
this.
Ye.
If you want to be Netanyahu light on TV,
but given you want to make, given
if you want to be Dave
you think it's all
Portnoy with the
funny,
suit,
it's fine.
then sure. If you want to do ad hominem attacks, then why invite someone on your show? I set this up
Good
because your
comeback.
team asked me to do it. I did everything that I could. If I knew that this would, I'm not here wasting your time. You're angry at me for setting up an interview that
He's
you
not
wanted.
really.
If you have questions for me,
It's
I'm
just
happy
true.
to answer
Yeah,
those.
here's
If you
my
want to keep
question.
doing
Why did
insults,
you-
there's no point in me being here.
Why did Ye stand up like a sniveling little coward and walk away before I could ask him difficult questions?
For the third time, Piers, I don't know if you have a hearing problem, but I'm not going to answer questions on another man's behalf. But
Really?
thank you for
Even though
having
you
me. If
set
would
up
like
the
to talk
interview with
one-on-one
him.
another time, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
thank
tell
you.
him from me he's a sniveling little coward. And he's an anti-Semite and a Hitler worshipper.
Oh, you said it. You got
That's
it
what I
off
would
your
have asked
chest.
him if he'd had the
Get it off your
balls to
chest.
sit there and take the questions.
Get it all out.
And there you are, proudly associating yourself with him. Good luck to you, Sneako.
Oh no.
Everyone can see you for what you are.
Alright guys, and this is it for today's video. Yeah, as I said in the beginning of it, I really missed the virtue signaling, the false outrage of Piers. He's a master at that. We have to give him that. And ultimately, I would say that he is mildly genius in the way that he's presenting his show, because truly he's generating phenomenal clicks. He's capitalizing on every major and minor conflict, be it some outrage in media, in pop culture, or be it the Israel-Palestine thing. He's been making that back. So kudos to you, Piers Morgan, you sneaky little rat. But we all see what you're doing, of course, and you're quite good at it, you know? Respect where respect is due. Anyways, guys, this is it for today's video. Check out my ebook, The Return. I guarantee you there are major insights about my life that you've never heard before. And if you're dabbling with the thought of reverting to Islam, or maybe you simply need an Iman boost, this is the ebook for you. It is a concise, dynamic read, and it is packed with my mindset of letting go of ego, biases, cultural conditioning, family and friend pressure, brainwashing from the media and whatnot, letting go of all of it and go in my own way for the past 10 years. It's not only about reverting to Islam, guys. I talk about how I left the West 2014. So people that are thinking about Hijrah, I left the West 2014, almost 11 years ago, and I went on my own way. I traveled the whole world and I documented it in The Return. Alright guys, check it out, and now as always, may God bless you all. Much love and peace.
يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي